Thank you very much. So we had Ms. Perlmutter in here a couple weeks ago talking about some new proposed rulemaking. And based on your opening statement, you're at least vaguely familiar with that. And they've got an office of proposed, a notice, the Copyright Office has a notice of proposed rulemaking out there. And it strongly encourages folks to submit digitized copies of their works to the Copyright Office. Some would even argue that it essentially requires that you digitize your work to send it in, at least to get it in a timely manner processed for copyright. And here's the dilemma that, and I wasn't very articulate that time, and I may not be this time, but here's the concern that's been raised. If you require that it be digitized to file with the Copyright Office, and then the Copyright Office immediately sends that to the Library of Congress without a licensing agreement, aren't you kind of putting yourself in the position of Napster, where now you all have it, that's available to the public in essence, and yet there's no licensing agreement? That's the concern, is that they're being required, or at least strongly encouraged, to submit a digitized copy to copyright, and then they're actually bypassing the copyright because they send it to y'all in that digitized form without a licensing agreement.
The Library of Congress uses digitized content in a very responsible manner and fair use, and so it would not make available.
Not accusing. What I'm saying is that I think that there's a glitch in the process that may be setting up a system where it may accidentally get abused. That's the concern that I've heard, and I raised that to your attention. I'm not sure that Ms. Perlmutter was fully understanding it. Ms. Bice and I both had questions on it. I just asked you to go back and take a look at it, because that's what Library of Congress has always been great on that. Not fussing about it, just worried that we might be creating a system where we accidentally bypass the copyright by forcing the digitization, which is then immediately sent to the Library of Congress.
Thank you for bringing that up at this point, because as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we are working very diligently with the Copyright Office on their continuous development of their registration system. That's the hardest part of what they've been doing in terms of modernizing. And so to bring up different issues and concerns at this point is very timely. We have a public stakeholder group. They've been bringing up a lot of things too, so thank you for this.
Well, take a look at it. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to switch over to another. I love real books. There's nothing better than sitting in a chair, particularly if you can get a fire going and reading a real book. But what I find in my job, and there are lots of other people in similar types of jobs, is that I very rarely get that chance. And so what I do is I'm often doing audiobooks. And through Libby, I'm able to get a lot of books. What I have found, though, is that my Roanoke Valley Library's Libby has more offerings, at least that I'm looking for, than the Library of Congress. It looks like you want to address that, and I want you to address that.
Your public library probably has more of the current fiction or mysteries and things like that.
Well, I find it to be true. I find it to be true also with older books. So I thought it was interesting because we were sitting here having this chat. So I quickly looked up Frederick Douglass, and there's a couple of ebooks that I found on Libby, but no audiobooks. Although there was one that said you have this process, for those who don't know it, you can tag it, and I want to compliment the Library of Congress on that in just a second. But so I tagged the Frederick Douglass narratives of the life of Frederick Douglass by Frederick Douglass, because I'd love to listen to that. And it's a fairly short listen, 4 hours. That's halfway across my district. I'll be done before I can get to the other side. But it's things like The Last Line, Manchester's book on Winston Churchill, is not available either place. So it's not just I get it. When I'm looking for some fluff, I expect my local library to have it. But when I'm looking for deeper things, I might want to see some more from the Library of Congress. Just wondering what y'all's plans are on that. I know it's new, and I know it's a small market, But what are y'all's plans on that, on
Well,
increasing your audiobooks?
This is also timely as well, because as you know, and people have even asked, if I'm listening to a book, am I reading? Yes, you are, okay? And so as we expand and provide that service as well, beyond basic research and history and things for members of Congress, we'll be cognizant of looking at what the requests are.
And
what
I
our
was going to
field-
compliment you, and I want to, if I can take just another couple seconds. I tagged a James L. Nelson book earlier this year, and about 6 weeks later, it popped up, and I was able to listen to it from the Library of Congress, which is a swashbuckler. He writes naval stories. Anyway, I yield back.